fleet moved in silence. Humanity's Deathworld Fleet drifted between the stars. Dark shapes hidden in endless night. Every ship carried scars from wars, old battles fought in forgotten systems. The humans had learned to survive where no one else could, and the galaxy knew their name with fear. Out in the black, a signal appeared. It was weak, broken, like the voice of someone drowning. The fleet's sensors caught it first, a flicker among static, a whisper among cosmic storms. No one should have been there, no life, no colony, nothing. But still, the voice begged, "Help us, please help us." The humans listened carefully. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the flagship, eyes locked on the signal. Around her, the crew worked in silence, no one daring to breathe too loud. The sound was alien, words twisted, but the message was clear. Someone was calling for asylum, someone was calling humanity. It was strange. Aliens feared humans. They avoided their fleets. They told stories of Earth as a cursed world, a place where even the plants tried to kill, where storms could shatter cities. The galaxy called humanity Deathworlders, monsters in flesh, so why would anyone beg them for help? The admiral gave the order, "Trace the signal." A young officer worked quickly, hands moving across glowing screens. The voice grew clearer, broken by static, but desperate. "Lost, fleeing. Please, death follows, help us." The officer's face turned pale. "The signal is coming from the Neckery system, Admiral," he whispered. The bridge fell silent. The Neckery system was a graveyard. Its star burned low. Its worlds were cold, lifeless stones. Centuries ago, the Neckery homeworld had died in fire, torn apart by war. No ships should be there, no voices, no survivors. But the signal said otherwise. Admiral Reyes narrowed her eyes. The galaxy was full of tricks, pirates, ambushes, predators waiting in shadows. But this signal, it felt different, it felt real. And in her heart, she knew, whoever sent it was on the edge of death. "Put it on main channel," she ordered. The bridge speakers came alive, hissing static. Through the noise, the alien voice shook with fear. "We are hunted. They will find us. Please. Only you can fight them. Only you can survive them." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Only humans, the message said, only humans could survive. The admiral clenched her fist. There were thousands of species in the galaxy, thousands of fleets. But still, someone far out there had chosen to call humans. That truth alone made her blood run cold. The officer spoke again, voice trembling. "Admiral, I detect movement in the Neckery system. A small ship, damaged, barely holding together. They are broadcasting the signal." Reyes leaned forward. "Bring it on screen." The main display flickered. A tiny vessel drifted through the dark. Hull broken, engines failing. Its surface was burned black, parts of it glowing with fire. It looked more like wreckage than a living ship. Yet inside, lights still flickered, and voices cried for help. "They should be dead," whispered one crew member. "No one survives that long in Neckery," said another. But the evidence was there, undeniable. A dying ship carrying desperate lives, moving toward the Deathworld Fleet. The admiral's voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed tension. "Send a message. Tell them we hear their call." The officer hesitated. "Admiral, are we sure about this?" Reyes nodded slowly. "If they came to us, it means every other door was closed to them." The alien voice returned, this time clearer. "We seek asylum, Deathworlders, we seek safety in your fleet. We have no other hope. Please." The bridge filled with silence. Humans were feared across the galaxy, but never asked for help. Yet now, survivors were begging to join them. Reyes whispered to herself, "What could make them choose us?" Her thoughts raced. If the rumors were true, if predators were chasing them, then danger was already moving closer. If humanity took them in, they might inherit a war. But if they refused, the survivors would vanish into the void. Their choice would echo across the galaxy. She looked around her bridge, at faces waiting for her decision. "Prepare a docking path," she ordered at last. Gasps echoed softly, but the Admiral's tone was final. We are Deathworlders, but we are not monsters. Let them come. As the human fleet shifted position, engines glowing softly in the void, the broken alien ship crawled closer. Its shadow stretched across the stars, like a ghost limping toward the living. The crew could see movement through its cracked windows, silhouettes of fragile bodies. The signal carried one last message, faint but clear. They are behind us. They will not stop. Please, help us before it is too late. The Admiral's heart turned heavy. If the survivors were right, then the predators were already hunting, already near. The Deathworld Fleet was about to face something dangerous, something unknown. And the signal was only the beginning. The silence of space pressed against the hulls. Every crew member felt the weight of what was coming. Humanity had been called, and now they would answer. But none of them could guess what hunted in the dark. None of them knew what terror was about to arrive. The mysterious signal had been heard, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The alien ship drifted closer. Its hull was broken. Its lights flickered weakly, and sparks spilled into the void. To the humans watching, it looked less like a ship and more like a coffin. Yet, life still clung to it, fragile and desperate. Admiral Reyes stood tall on the bridge of the flagship. Her crew worked fast, guiding the alien vessel toward a safe docking zone. But every eye carried doubt. Why would aliens come to them? Why would they run into the arms of humanity? The very species most feared in the stars. The ship's engines gave one last cough of fire before shutting down completely. It drifted into the docking bay like a wounded beast collapsing after a long chase. Clamps locked around it, holding the broken craft steady. The humans waited in silence, weapons ready. No one trusted this scene. Hope and danger often wore the same face in space. A voice came through the comms, cracked and trembling. We are alive, please. We seek safe passage. We beg for protection. The Admiral gave a small nod, her voice steady. Open the hatch. Let them enter. The docking doors creaked open. For a moment, only smoke poured out, thick and bitter. Then shadows moved within the haze, shapes stumbling forward. The crew raised their rifles, tension snapping through the air like a drawn bowstring. Finally, the first alien stepped out and the humans froze. The being was tall but frail, its skin pale and covered with burns. Its eyes glowed faintly, wide with fear and exhaustion. Behind it came others, some limping, some carrying the wounded. There were barely a dozen survivors, each scarred, each trembling. Their movements told a story of suffering too great for words. They dropped to their knees at once. Their strange voices filled the bay. Please, do not cast us away. Deathworlders, please. We have nowhere left to run. The soldiers looked at Admiral Reyes for guidance. Her jaw tightened, her heart heavy with the weight of their plea. She stepped forward, her boots echoing on the metal floor. You came to us, why? Her voice was sharp, commanding. The lead alien raised its head slowly, its eyes filled with a strange mix of fear and hope. Because only you can fight them, only you can endure them, it said. Every other empire turned us away. They told us death had already claimed us. But you carry the name Deathworld, and we believe only you can stand against what hunts us. The words carried a chill across the bay. Humans were used to being feared, not trusted. No alien begged humanity for help. Not unless the situation was truly hopeless. The Admiral studied their faces, saw the hollow hunger in their eyes. These creatures had been running for far too long. The survivors were escorted to the medical wing. Machines scanned their injuries. Strange wounds burned deep into their flesh. Doctors whispered that some injuries came not from weapons, but from poisons, from parasites, from horrors unknown. Whatever had chased them had not been merciful. It wanted to erase them piece by piece. Meanwhile, the Admiral gathered her senior officers. They stood around a glowing table where star maps flickered. The signal's origin shone like a cold star in the Neckery system. But behind it, faint trails appeared, traces of another fleet following close. Predators, silent and patient, moving like wolves across the void. "They're not lying," Reyes said quietly. Her officers shifted uneasily. "If we take them in, the hunters will come for us," one warned. "If we cast them out, they die," another replied. The admiral listened to both sides, her eyes never leaving the map. At last, she spoke, her tone iron. "Humanity does not turn away the desperate. Not when the whole galaxy already fears us as monsters. Let us show them something different." Back in the medbay, the lead survivor, weak but awake, tried to rise when Reyes entered. His body shook with pain, but it bowed anyway. "You should not risk your fleet for us," it whispered. The admiral shook her head. "Tell me what hunts you," she demanded. The alien's eyes filled with tears. "They have no name, not one we dare speak. They do not conquer, they erase. Their joy is in destruction. They see us only as prey, and we are running out of stars to hide in." Reyes felt the weight of those words. Her people had fought predators all their lives. Beasts on Earth, wars among themselves, diseases, plagues, disasters. But this was something more. A shadow creeping across the galaxy. She looked at the survivor and gave a single nod. "You will not run alone any longer." Outside the medbay windows, the alien ship hung lifeless, broken, and far away, beyond the stars, the hunters drew closer. The survivors had found the Deathworld Fleet. But in doing so, they had also led their nightmare straight into humanity's path. The humans did not know it yet. But first contact with these survivors would change everything. The fleet had opened its arms to the lost. And in return, the galaxy's deadliest predators would soon open their jaws. The countdown to war had already begun. And the first spark had been lit in the shadow of the mysterious signal. The Deathworld Fleet moved in silence. Human ships circled like wolves in the dark, their engines low, their weapons armed. Inside the command deck, tension wrapped around every heart. The survivors had been brought aboard, but their words lingered like poison in the air. Predators, they had said, enemies without mercy, aliens that did not conquer worlds, but erased them. They did not enslave, they did not plunder, they only destroyed. To them, life was nothing but prey to hunt. And now those hunters were coming. Admiral Reyes stared at the star map. Lines of light showed the Deathworld Fleet's position, but faint shadows appeared behind them. Small trails, almost invisible signs of movement in deep space. The enemy was following, keeping its distance, waiting for the right moment to strike. The survivors had warned them. They follow the scent of fear. They never stop. They never forgive escape. Those words echoed in the Admiral's mind. Her crew spoke in low voices, afraid to break the heavy silence. Some whispered that this could be a trap, that the refugees had brought death into their fleet on purpose. Others believed them, saying only something truly monstrous could drive anyone to beg humans for help. In the medbay, the survivors tried to rest, but nightmares shook them awake. One screamed in its sleep, its voice sharp with terror. Doctors rushed in, calming the alien, only to hear it whisper, "They are coming. They never stop. They never sleep. They will find us here too." Fear burned in its glowing eyes. Fear so deep it made even hardened human soldiers shiver. Reyes called a council of her senior officers. Around the table of stars, they argued, voices low but sharp. "If we keep them, the enemy will strike us," said one commander. "If we abandon them, we prove the galaxy right, that humans are only monsters wearing uniforms," another countered. Reyes listened, but her mind was already set. Humanity had survived worse, and survival was in their blood. "We will not abandon them," she said firmly. "Instead, we will learn what hunts them." The survivors were brought into the chamber, weak but still standing. The lead alien bowed deeply. Its voice cracked. "You should not risk your kind, Admiral. They will come for us, and they will kill without pause." Reyes stepped forward, her eyes like steel. "Tell us about them," she demanded. The alien's body trembled, but it obeyed. "They are not like you or us," it whispered. "They do not speak. They do not trade. They only consume. They are machines of flesh and hunger. Their ships move like predators in water, silent until the strike. A murmur spread across the human officers. The alien continued, its voice heavy with memory. We tried to fight, but our weapons broke against them. Our shields failed. They cut through our fleets as if we were nothing. Our homeworld burned, and we fled. But even in flight, they followed, always behind us. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Why come to us? She asked. You know the galaxy fears humans, calls us Deathworlders. The alien looked up, eyes wet with despair. Because you are the only ones who fight like them. The only ones who understand the cruelty of survival. Where others see death, you see challenge. Where others run, you endure. The words struck the humans deeply. For once, being called Deathworlders was not an insult, but a hope. Far from the fleet, deep in the void, shadows moved. Predator ships glided between the stars. Their hulls black, their shapes sharp. They did not broadcast signals, they did not announce their presence. They only hunted, patient and silent. Slowly, they tightened the noose, circling closer to the Deathworld Fleet. Back aboard the flagship, alarms rang faintly. Sensor officers leaned forward, their eyes wide. Admiral, faint movement detected. Multiple contacts at long range, closing slowly. Reyes did not flinch, she expected this. Her crew looked at her, waiting for orders. We stay quiet, she said. Let them believe we do not see them, patience is a weapon too. The survivors trembled when they heard. They are here already, one gasped. They will not stop. They will follow until one of us is gone. Reyes placed a hand on the table, her voice calm but sharp. Then it will not be us. The fleet held its ground. The humans sharpened their blades, loaded their weapons, watched the stars. Each second stretched into an hour. Each flicker of light in the distance felt like the enemy's gaze. The survivors huddled together, whispering prayers in a language no human knew. But the humans did not pray. They prepared. The hidden enemy was no longer just a story. It was real, moving closer, and hungrier than the void itself. The humans knew the battle would come. And when it did, there would be no mercy. But that was fine. Mercy had never been humanity's weapon, survival had. As the predators drew nearer, a strange calm fell across the Deathworld Fleet. Every soldier, every officer, every survivor understood one truth. The hunters had finally found prey that might bite back. The hidden enemy was coming, but humanity was ready. And in the silent dark, death waited to meet death. White heavy checkmark word count. 800. The galaxy had many names for humans. Deathworlders, monsters, demons of the void. To some, they were cursed, to others, they were a warning whispered to children. And yet, to the survivors now aboard the fleet, they were something else. They were hope. Admiral Reyes knew the weight of that name. Every alien that met humanity learned the truth of their homeworld. Earth was no paradise. It was a world that wanted its children dead. From the moment a human was born, life fought against them. Poisonous plants, venomous animals, diseases without mercy, storms that shattered cities, quakes that swallowed villages. On Earth, survival was not given, it was stolen. Stories of this world had spread through the stars. Other species lived on soft worlds, warm and safe, where food was easy and dangers rare. But humans had grown strong in fire and storm. They fought predators larger than machines, endured winters that froze oceans, survived deserts that burned skin to ash. Their bodies carried scars, but their spirits grew harder than steel. Aliens whispered that humans should not exist, that no species should rise from such a brutal place. And yet, not only had they risen, they had thrived. They had reached the stars. To the galaxy, this was terrifying. If humanity could survive the deadliest world, what else could they survive? The survivors of the Neckery ship learned this truth quickly. In the med bay, they watched human doctors work with calm efficiency. They saw soldiers scarred from battles smile as if pain was an old friend. They listened to engineers laugh while repairing shattered metal. It confused them. It scared them, but it also filled them with awe. One alien whispered to another, "They walk as if death is their shadow, and yet they smile." Another answered, trembling, "That is why they can fight what we cannot. They do not fear the dark, because they were born in it." Meanwhile, on the bridge, Reyes addressed her officers. "We are feared, but fear is not always power," she said. "It is isolation, it makes us stand apart, but now we have a chance to change it, to use the name Deathworlder as more than a curse." Her words carried weight. For too long, humanity had been outsiders. Other empires kept them at a distance, trading carefully, watching with suspicion. But here, now, desperate voices had turned to them as guardians. Still, not all agreed. Some officers spoke in hushed voices. "Admiral, do we really want to carry this burden? If we fight these predators, the galaxy will look at us with even greater fear." Reyes turned her gaze to the star map, shadows creeping closer from the void. "They already fear us," she said. "Better they fear us as protectors than as monsters." The survivors were summoned to the council chamber once more. The lead alien, frail and trembling, bowed low. "You should not fight for us, Admiral. The hunters will bring ruin to you too." Reyes studied the alien, her voice steady. "You think we fear ruin, we come from ruin. It shaped us, it made us strong. We are not afraid of your hunters." The alien's eyes widened. "You say this with such certainty. How can you be sure?" Reyes leaned closer, her voice sharp as a blade. "Because the galaxy already tried to break us. And we survived. Because Earth taught us that nothing is undefeatable." In the mess halls, soldiers shared quiet stories. They spoke of storms that destroyed their homes, and how they rebuilt. They told tales of forests filled with beasts, and how they hunted them. They remembered wars that tore their world apart, yet still they endured. The survivors listened, stunned by the casual way humans spoke of horrors greater than anything they had ever known. To the aliens, these were nightmares. To the humans, they were memories, and this difference explained everything. The predators chasing them, the destroyers without mercy, would find no easy prey here. They would find the children of Earth, the Deathworlders, and for the first time, the survivors dared to believe that perhaps the hunters could bleed. Far beyond the fleet, the enemy ships moved closer, their shadows swallowing stars. But within the human fleet, a new fire burned. The survivors no longer saw monsters in human eyes. They saw warriors who had lived with death so long that fear no longer ruled them. They saw something the galaxy had forgotten. They saw defiance. Humanity's reputation was no longer just a warning. It was a weapon. And soon, the hidden enemy would learn what it truly meant to face Deathworlders. The Deathworld Fleet floated in the dark, silent as stone. The survivors rested in the medbay, but fear never left their eyes. The humans repaired their ships, checked their weapons, and waited, but all of them knew the same truth. Soon a choice would have to be made. Admiral Reyes called her officers to the council chamber. The table glowed with star charts, red lines showing enemy movement. The predators were still at the edge of sensors, circling like sharks in deep water. Every hour they drew closer. Every hour their shadow pressed harder against the fleet. The admiral's voice was calm but heavy. "We cannot hide forever," she said. Her officers exchanged uneasy looks. "They are hunting the survivors," one commander argued. "If we give them up, the predators may leave us alone." Another slammed his fist on the table. "No, we cannot abandon them. If we do, we become the monsters the galaxy already thinks we are." The chamber filled with low voices. Some wanted safety, some demanded honor, others feared the weight of war. The admiral listened, her eyes sharp, her heart steady. She knew this was more than a choice of strategy. This was a choice of identity. Would humanity turn its back and live as feared monsters? Or would they stand and protect, even if it meant war? In the medbay, the survivors gathered in silence. The lead alien looked at the others, its voice weak. "They will not keep us. They cannot risk their kind for ours." One younger survivor shook their head. "No, they are different. I feel it. They carry death in their eyes. But not against us, against what hunts us. Moments later, Reyes entered, her presence filling the room. The survivors bowed low, trembling. "Admiral," the lead alien whispered, "you owe us nothing. Cast us out, and your fleet will be safe." Reyes studied them, her voice like steel. "You think we choose safety over survival? You think we abandon those who ask for help? You are wrong." The alien's eyes widened. "But if you protect us, the predators will come for you too. They will follow you until the end." Reyes leaned closer, her voice a sharp whisper. "Then let them come. They will learn what it means to chase Deathworlders." The survivors exchanged looks, stunned. For the first time in years, they felt something stronger than fear. They felt trust. Back in the council chamber, the debate continued. One officer said, "Admiral, we cannot risk the entire fleet for a handful of refugees." Reyes stood, her shadow stretching across the glowing table. "You are wrong," she said. "We are not risking the fleet for a handful, we are risking it for the truth. If humanity abandons them, then the galaxy is right to call us monsters. If we stand, then we prove something greater, that we are more than survivors, we are protectors." The room fell silent. Every officer lowered their eyes. The choice was made. Preparations began at once. Ships shifted formation, weapons armed, shields raised. The humans were no longer waiting. They were preparing to fight. The survivors watched with awe as the Deathworld Fleet moved like a living beast, silent but deadly. Even damaged ships glowed with power. Even tired soldiers moved with purpose. Every human carried the same look. The look of those who had faced death many times before and never bowed. But the test of trust was not over. The survivors had one last secret, one last truth. The lead alien approached the Admiral, fear heavy in its voice. "There is something you must know," it whispered. Reyes turned, her eyes sharp. "Speak," she ordered. The alien trembled. "The hunters, they marked us. They can track us anywhere. No shield, no jump can hide us. Even here, they will find us." The chamber froze, the words sinking like knives. It was not just a chase, it was a hunt without end. As long as the survivors lived, the predators would follow. Some officers glared, anger in their voices. "You lied to us. You doomed us all." The alien fell to its knees. "We did not lie, we only hoped. We only prayed that Deathworlders could do what we could not, fight back." Tears burned in its eyes. "If you cast us out now, we will not resist, we will accept our fate." The Admiral's face was stone, but her voice thundered with command. "No, you will not die in the void, not while humanity still stands." She looked at her officers, her tone final. "We will carry them, even if it means the hunters come to our door. Let the galaxy watch. Let them see what Deathworlders truly are." The survivors wept, their voices shaking. They had placed their lives in human hands, and humanity had accepted. Trust had been given, trust had been tested, and trust had been earned. Outside, in the endless dark, the predators drew closer, their ships silent, their hunger endless. But now, the Deathworld Fleet no longer stood divided. It stood united, and in that unity burned a fire the predators had never faced before. The test of trust was over. The choice was made, and humanity had chosen defiance. The stars went silent. Sensors screamed faint warnings, then went dark. Shadows slipped across the edge of human vision, black shapes sliding between starlight. The predators had arrived. The Deathworld Fleet braced for impact. Engines hummed low, shields flared, weapons locked. Every soldier strapped in, every officer silent, every breath heavy. The predators did not roar, did not send demands. They simply came, like wolves in the night, like blades in the dark. Admiral Reyes stood tall on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. Her voice was calm, sharper than steel. "They want us afraid. They want us blind. But we are Deathworlders. We are never blind in the dark." Her crew answered with steady silence. Fear was there, yes, but so was something else. Something older, harder, carved into human bones. the instinct to fight. The first strike came fast. A predator ship erupted from the shadows, black hull glistening, its weapons spitting streams of burning light. The blast struck the outermost human frigate. Shields flared, metal screamed, but the ship held. Before the predator could vanish again, human guns answered. Bolts of fire tore across the void, ripping through its hull. The predator ship split apart, dying in silence. The survivors gasped from their quarters. Never had they seen the hunters wounded so quickly. But Admiral Reyes did not smile. One killed, many more to come, she whispered. The predators swarmed. They moved like a pack, surrounding, cutting off retreat. Their ships twisted unnaturally, changing direction like living things. Every blast of their weapons cracked human shields. Every strike burned across the hulls. But the humans did not scatter. They moved together, formation tight, every ship covering the other. Reyes barked commands. Shift pattern delta. Cut their flanks. Don't chase. Let them chase us. The fleet turned sharply, luring the predators in. The hunters lunged, sensing weakness. But it was no weakness, it was a trap. Human minds scattered from hidden bays. Tiny machines armed with fire and fury. The predators rushed through, unaware. And then, the dark exploded. Chains of fire lit the void, tearing through black hulls. Predator ships twisted and burned, pieces spinning into nothing. Cheers rang on the human ships. But the Admiral raised her hand. Do not celebrate yet, they will adapt. And she was right. The predators shifted, learning, weaving between minds. Their movements grew sharper, faster, deadlier. They were hunters, but so were humans. On one destroyer, alarms screamed. A predator vessel latched onto its hull like a leech, tearing at the armor with claws of steel. The humans inside did not panic. Instead, they armed self-destruct charges in the outer layer. The ship shook violently. Fire burst outward. The predator vessel was blown apart. But the destroyer survived, scarred yet alive. The survivors watching trembled. These humans fought like demons, willing to sacrifice pieces of themselves to break the enemy. The battle stretched into hours. The predators struck, vanished, struck again. But each time, humans answered with fire. Each time, they turned the darkness against the hunters. Their ships were not the largest, not the strongest, but they were stubborn. And stubbornness in battle was as sharp as any blade. At last, the predator flagship appeared. A monster of a ship, blacker than the void, its size dwarfing the human fleet. The survivors wailed in fear. That ship destroyed our world. We cannot stand against it. But Admiral Reyes only narrowed her eyes. Then we will not stand against it. We will tear it down piece by piece. She gave the order. Cut the lights. Kill the signals, vanish. One by one, human ships powered down, disappearing into the void. The Predator flagship advanced, its weapons searching. But the Deathworld Fleet had become shadows, silent hunters in the dark. Then they struck. From every side, human ships lit their engines, fire erupting. Torpedoes screamed through the void, slamming into the Predator's hull. Cannons tore across its armor. The great beast staggered, roaring with silent fury. The Predators tried to counter, but humans never gave them the chance. They struck, vanished, struck again, death coming from every direction. Finally, the flagship cracked. Its black surface split. Fire spilled out like blood. With one last coordinated strike, the Deathworld Fleet unleashed everything. The Predator ship erupted in light, breaking apart into the dark. Silence followed, broken only by heavy breathing on every human bridge. The survivors wept openly. Never had they seen the hunters fall. Never had they believed it was possible. But the humans had done it. They had fought the Predators in the dark and lived. More than lived, they had won. Admiral Reyes stood unmoving, her face calm. "Count our losses," she said quietly. Reports came in. Ships damaged, soldiers dead, scars burned into the fleet. But the line still held. The fleet still lived. She turned her eyes to the survivors. You see now, she said. They can bleed, and if they can bleed, they can die. The aliens bowed low, voices shaking with awe. You are not monsters, one whispered. You are guardians. The humans did not answer. They simply prepared for what would come next. Because they knew this was only the beginning. The predators had lost this battle. But the war was far from over. And in the dark between stars, death had learned to fear death. The battlefield drifted silent. Debris floated among the stars. Twisted remains of predator ships burning faintly in the void. The Deathworld Fleet held position. Scarred but unbroken. Human ships bled smoke and fire. Yet their engines still glowed. Their shields still flickered. They had survived. Inside the flagship, Admiral Reyes stood tall. Her eyes on the fractured star map. The Predator flagship was gone, its shadow erased. But her mind did not rest. Predators never stopped with one defeat. They would return, stronger, angrier. This victory was not the end. It was only the beginning. The survivors were brought into the chamber. Their steps slow, their eyes wide with awe. They had seen something no other species dared to dream. They had seen the hunters fall. For the first time in their lives, hope lit their faces, fragile but bright. The lead alien fell to its knees. Deathworlders, you have given us back more than life. You have given us belief. Its voice shook, but it did not hide its tears. We are yours. If you will have us, we will stand with you, fight with you, even if it costs us all. The chamber filled with silence. Officers looked to the Admiral, waiting. This was more than a rescue, it was a turning point. Would humanity open its fleet to these refugees, or cast them back into the void? Reyes spoke, her voice calm but iron. You came to us when no one else would listen. You trusted us when the galaxy feared us. That trust will not be betrayed. She stepped forward, her shadow long across the chamber. From this day, you are under the protection of the Deathworld Fleet. No hunter, no empire, no shadow will touch you without facing us first. The survivors bowed low, their voices trembling. Then we are yours, until the stars burn out. Across the fleet, news spread fast. Humans had not abandoned the desperate. They had taken them in. The galaxy would whisper about this day. Some would call it madness, others would call it mercy. But for the first time, the title Deathworlder carried not only fear, but respect. In the mess halls, soldiers shared food with the survivors. The aliens tasted human bread for the first time, and their tears spilled freely. Simple things, warmth and kindness, felt like miracles after years of running. Children of Earth, born in storms and fire, now offered safety to those who had known only despair. Still, not all was peace. The officers gathered once more. The predators will return, one warned. And when they do, they will bring more than we can imagine. Reyes nodded, her voice steady. Then let them come. They will learn again, and again, that Deathworlders do not break. Plans began for the future. Scouts prepared to map enemy routes. Engineers repaired damaged hulls. Doctors studied the scars of the survivors, searching for ways to fight the poisons and parasites the predators carried. Every ship in the fleet turned its eyes outward. The war had not ended. It had only shifted. But something had changed. Humanity was no longer alone. Where once they carried only their own burden, now they carried others too. And in that weight they found strength. The survivors pledged their knowledge. They told the humans of predator tactics, of the systems already lost, of the cries ignored by other empires. The humans listened, memorized, planned. Where others had turned away, they prepared to strike. On the viewing deck, a young soldier stood beside a survivor. Together they stared into the stars. Broken ships drifting like ghosts. Are you afraid they will come back? The survivor asked softly. The soldier smiled faintly, scars on his face glowing in the dim light. They will come. But fear is useless. We don't fear storms. We survive them. The survivor lowered its head, whispering, perhaps that is why only humans can fight them. You were born in storms. Admiral Reyes watched her fleet in silence. She thought of Earth, of its cruel beauty, of its endless lessons. Everything on that world had tried to kill humanity, but humanity had learned to endure. Now, in the far void, those same lessons would save not only their kind, but others too. The predators would not stop. They would return with fury, with vengeance, with hunger unending. But when they came, they would not face prey. They would face Deathworlders, and now they would face those who trusted Deathworlders. The survivors were no longer alone. The humans were no longer feared only as monsters. Together, they had become something new. A fleet of the broken, the scarred, the defiant. A fleet that carried death not as a curse, but as a shield. In the endless dark, where hunters once ruled, a new alliance was born. And for the first time, the predators would learn what it meant to fear. Because humanity had taken the hunted and made them family. Because humanity had turned despair into defiance. Because humanity, the Deathworlders, had chosen to stand. And when Deathworlders stand, the galaxy trembles.